I think we might be live, or I might be talking to myself. Let's give this a minute to catch up. There's always a bit of a delay. Come on. Oh, nope, nothing is happening yet. I got all excited, pretty sure for nothing. It's a good thing I'm used to talking to myself, or this would seem weird. There we go. I think you guys are here. Let me make sure I've got audio. Or you have audio. Come on. Yep, there we go. Okay. I think we are good. I am not super prepared for this just because it's a smart art box, so we're going to experiment with these supplies together. I really don't know what to expect with them. I haven't tested them or anything. I just opened the box to take photos for the thumbnail. Words are hard. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let me adjust everything here. I think we're good. And yeah, okay. So actually I should pull one thing up so I can make sure that the drawing stays on camera. I meant to put tape down so I knew how far I could pull the drawing down, but whatever, we'll go, excuse me, go with this. Allergies are horrible. They've been horrible. So yeah, I apologize. Anyway, so this is, I don't even know which month of Smart Art Box this is. I don't think it ever says the months on them, but it looked like it'd be a good project to do during a live stream. So that's what we're going with. So this one, if you are unfamiliar with Smart Art Box, just to start with, this video is sponsored by Smart Art Box, just in that they provide me with the boxes. If I ever got anything out on time and they actually paid me, then that money gets donated to Artists for Trauma. I never get that right. Link is in the video description. Great charity. If that's something that you're interested in, whether it be volunteering or donating to, definitely check them out. But with this one, they did provide me with the box. I did not buy this myself, but all of the opinions on the supplies, all of that are my own. I'm not like, they don't require me to say anything specific or say I love things that I don't, which I wouldn't do anyway. But that is that. The Smart Art Box, they are linked in the video description, and there is a coupon code that will give you $5 off your subscription for life, along with all of the countries that it is available to. So what these are, they are a monthly subscription box where every month they send you a new box full of full-sized art supplies. This month it is watercolor markers. So one of my favorite things about these boxes is that it comes with a brochure. They're not just giving you supplies and dumping them on you and going, okay, figure out what to do with them. They actually give you a art history. You've got project pointers. This is the part that I always like the best. You've got a little bit of explanation about what that medium is, when it started, all of that. You've got the actual description of all of the supplies, and then on the back you've got step-by-step instructions on how to complete your own project. So if it's something you've never worked in, you're not going to feel lost. Okay, so let's put that to the side and see what came in this box. I lost my chat window. Hold on one second. Let me just shrink this window down. Okay, we're good. So inside this box, stay open. Stay open. You're not going to stay open, are you? Come on. I'm going to dump everything out on my lap. I am graceful. Okay, so the first thing we have in here are the generals. This is the graphite art pencil kit. And I think this one they are water soluble, extra smooth, artist quality. It said in the brochure that these are water soluble. There's a wash pencil. I don't know if that's all of them or just one of them is a wash. I think it's one of them. I guess we'll find that out. It comes with a 2H, an HB, 2B, and then layout. So yeah, we'll have to figure that out as we go. We've got a set of Graphix Aqua pen. These are the watercolor markers here. Let's see what colors that comes with. Come out. So these ones we've got white, yellow, blue, another blue, aqua, and black. Then these are the Graphix Fineliners. These ones, let's see how many are in here. Open up. This shouldn't be that hard. There we go. We've got red, blue, green, and black for the Fineliners. We've got a paintbrush. This one is a Zen Royal and Nickel number 4. I'm guessing it's a wash. Let's see. Feels like a Taklon bristle, or yeah, it feels like a Taklon. So I guess we'll find out as we get painting. And then we've got the visual journal, mixed media. Wow, words are hard tonight. They're always hard, but my brain is not here, which is weird because I got an actual nap today. But this one is a sketchbook. This one I know I like because I bought one of these, this specific type before when I went through my, I'm going to keep a sketchbook and I'm going to fill it up, and I never did. But I do use it for little things here and there. It's actually a really nice sketchbook. So let's move all this out of the way. I apologize for the mess in my studio between packing, and I've been working on Patreon postcards. I have like 1,500 of them there that I labeled this weekend, and I've got 500 more to label, but I ran out of labels. They just came in. Those will be getting to you soon if you're waiting for them. I'm way behind and hopefully will not be behind anymore because I've got a definite schedule now. So let's see. We've got Miriam said, hello, Lisa. Hello, Miriam. Heard of this subscription, but I've never tried. Has your art ever been featured in one of these boxes? It has been on, I think Art Snacks did with my Graphitint, one of my Graphitint drawings. And it wasn't it was like the first time of trying Graphitint. I wish I had done more so I could give them a better one to use. But no, not in Smart Art Box. Other than if they give you Inktense, my art's on the Inktense tin, so there's that, I guess, but not a feature. Naomi said, just got my pan pastels, going to attempt your graphite. I wonder if I can enlarge this. I cannot see. This isn't working. Hold on. I really cannot see. There we go. Oh, that's too much. 1 second. I'm going to try to make it so I can read this a little easier. I'm having a really hard time with the way I've got my computer set up today, reading the text. There we go. Naomi said, hi, I just got my pan pastels and going to attempt your draft. I have Canson Me-Tans and Fabriano Tiziano, I don't know what that one is, pastel paper. How would you recommend I use them to get similar results? I don't use pastels on anything but sanded paper or pastel. I actually haven't tried the pastel mat yet, but I never really I mean, I know that Canson Me-Tans is meant for pastels, but I never really liked the results I got with those. You can do it, but it's like it doesn't stick as well. So I really can't give you much advice on that because it's not my preference. I definitely prefer the sanded paper, but I mean, just get started and play with it. It can be done. Obviously, plenty of people use Canson Me-Tans for pastels. I would just go ahead and get started. Now, the other one, the Fabriano one, I have no experience with whatsoever, so it may be the most amazing pastel paper. I have no idea. So that one I can't advise you on. Maybe someone else can. Let's see. Where were we? Mercy says, happy packing. Yeah, you know, weirdly enough, packing has been kind of fun this time because I'm doing it so early. I'm able to organize a bit better and sort through things better. And it's one of the more enjoyable moves, I guess, because we're still going to have this apartment for several months after we move. So, because I have to pay double. So it's not like we have to be out instantly. It gives us a little bit more time, but I'm preparing ahead of time in order. Yeah, it's actually, I've not been unhappy with the packing so far. It's been kind of fun. And I actually have real packing boxes this time, which I've never done before. I was more of like shove everything in a trash bag to move. So this time I'm pretending to be an adult and doing it right. Turns out real packing boxes are handy. Let's see. Oh, you're right. Thank you, Jenna. Jenna said that was Scrawlbox, not Art Snacks. Last April, I have the print above it on my art desk. That's awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, I get all of them mixed up, except this is the only one that I've ever gotten myself or used was the Smart Art Box. So I get the other ones mixed up. They seem like real nice people when I talk to them. I was actually impressed. Like, just sometimes people contact you to get you to do a promo or something from you, and they're like, I had one the other day that was hilarious. This has, well, kind of, I guess, to do with art, but someone contacted me and they did the whole, we love your videos, I watch them all the time, and then went on, they wanted me to promote their crap app. That's all I can say about the app is that I looked through it. Yeah, that was going to be crap. I would not recommend that to anybody. I don't care how much you pay me. I'm not recommending crap to people, but I was like, that this will be funny. I responded back to them like, oh, you watch my videos all the time. Which ones do you like? What do you like about them? And they came back, thanks for responding. Here's more about our app. And I'm like, yeah, I know you don't want, I mean, yeah, you get companies like that really don't know. But yeah, that company, the Scrawlbox, they were very respectable. Like I was impressed by how they handled their business and stuff. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, did I see a new easel in one of your last videos? What brand style or whatever? You did. It's huge. And why haven't I don't know why I've not made a video on this yet. I was going to, you know what? That's going to be one of my upcoming vlogs because I've been doing, or vlogs. I've been doing those more lately. I just actually recorded 2 more today. I've got to edit them tomorrow. But I will show you the easel. It's a best, crap, I don't remember the name. It's best something. The name will come to me later. I want to say Jackson something. I don't remember, and it's huge. This thing is huge. So I will definitely show that to you. I got it. I used my Christmas money on it and then money I'd saved. In the beginning of January, I got it. It's been amazing. So yeah, I will share that with you soon. Best, I can't, right, Richardson, somebody maybe will know. Is there anything special to do when mixing graphite with colored pencil? Like keeping it separate? I don't like when they touch each other. I find that if you try to put colored pencil on top of graphite too much, except water-soluble graphite, that's different. But regular graphite is gloss, or not glossy, well, it can be. It's very slick, and so it doesn't give a lot for the colored pencil to stick to. So whenever I combine the two, I usually don't mix, like I don't overlap them too much. They are, I have black and white areas for the graphite, and then the colored areas are just with colored pencil. So they're in their kind of own little zones. And that's just because I love that look. But yeah, when I've tried to overlap colored pencil, I was just never real happy with how that looked on top of, just because it doesn't stick well, and then you get these muddy looks because it mixes with the gray. So when I do it, I do keep them separate. Christy said, love your final macaw with colored pencil. So bright in comparison to mine. Thank you. Well, yours had a straight black background. Yours, when I saw yours, I was like, I'm a bit intimidated right now. How am I going to follow up with, like, how can I show the same thing after seeing yours? Yours is stunning. Okay, here we go. A Jack Richardson easel. Thank you, Ursies. Yes, it is a Jack Richardson easel. Best something. I can see the word best from here, but it's like big, but I can't read the rest of it. I'll give you guys the links and I think I got mine from dickblick.com, and I'll send that to you when I get them. Okay. So let's go ahead and test some of these out. And the first thing I'm going to do is just see how they work. I think you're supposed to be able to add water to blend. So that's kind of a thin line. Oh, good. There is a bigger one. Does it soak through the back? Not really. So let's see what happens when we add some water. Because you're supposed to be able, oh yeah, that does blend out nicely. Ooh. Oh, I can already see where this is going to be fun. I wonder if the Fineliner ones blend out with water like that too. Let's find out. These are the little skinny guys. Casey Woods said, when am I moving? The house is scheduled to be finished sometime between, I think they said November 11th and December 11th. I'm hoping for December because I would have way more money saved by then. Oh, good. Both of those are going to blend out with water. So fingers crossed. I mean, as much as I want to move sooner, fingers crossed for December, because that will make a big difference for me financially, since I have to pay rent and mortgage double until February. I only have to pay half of February when the lease is up here, because I did not when we moved in here, it was so out of the realm of possibility of buying a house to me. Like I didn't choose an apartment that allowed you out of the lease if you purchased a home, which many do. This one doesn't. So, bad planning there. I've loved living here, so I can't say I would have made a different choice had I known. But yeah, it's supposed to be finished somewhere between November and December. Let's see. Whoops. Christy said, but yours was better, especially considering you only had 12 colors. It's funny though. I think when we look at other artists, we so often think everybody else's is better than our own. Like if a bunch of people draw the same thing, I will almost always like everyone else's better than mine. So I think that's just like a natural thing that we do. I definitely would not claim mine is better. I really liked yours. I loved the strong contrast on yours. Elaine said, can you use colored pencil and pastel interchangeably? I'm learning pastel and I have a small section of pastel pencils. Excited to get my first postcard. You can. I'm not going to claim to be a pastel expert. I just got water on my face. I'm not going to claim to be a pastel expert. I like pan pastels a lot. I'm just not a fan of pastel pencils because of how they feel in my hand. So I haven't had a lot of experience with those in years. I used to use them in the early 2000s. And as I got older, I started getting more and more neurotic about the dry feel on my hands. And I just don't use them at all anymore and things being messy. So I used to apparently not care when things were messy. But so I can't really give you too much information there. You may want to check with Jason Morgan. He's wonderful with them. Or Will Stoller, Unmasked Art here on YouTube. He's wonderful with them. I think Sheldine Fine Art, if she's still making videos, she uses that as well. But when I'm using pan pastels, I can go put pan pastels and layer colored pencil on top of that, and then pan pastels on top of that again if I need to. You can kind of work back and forth like that. I've never needed to. Usually what I do is just a base layer of pan pastels and then the colored pencil on top of that has worked well for me. But as far as the pastel pencils versus the colored pencil, the pastel pencils are probably not going to stick to the colored pencil real well. So you'd probably want to put the pastels down first, but I experiment, get a sketchbook and just experiment and see what it'll do for you. Let's see. Miriam said, are those no or low order pens? I can't breathe out of my nose very well right now because of my allergies. I've never had allergies quite like I've had this year. But so I can't tell you. I mean, okay, I can kind of breathe out of my nose. I'm not smelling anything, but that doesn't say much because of my current nasal situation. So I can't help you there. I mean, they're water-based, they're water soluble. One of the things actually that was interesting that you bring that up is it actually brought up in the brochure how early on in the 90s with the pens markers had a tendency to be very, very strong in odor, and over the years they started using less toxic chemicals and less toxic things like water in them, and they got less like safer to use. So it did bring that up, but I don't know. Let's see if the box says anything about that. Let's see. Brilliant colors thanks to high quality, light fast, and low odor water-based pigment ink. There you go. So I guess so. So it's not just my broken nose right now that I can't smell anything. Let's see. What general locale are you moving to? I'm staying in the North Texas area. What city is my new house? It is in North Texas. I'm a little bit paranoid about giving too much information because, well, like 99.999% of everybody watching isn't a stalker. Occasionally I get messages from people who want me dead. So I have to, I don't want to put too much information out there. But yeah, North Texas. Sarah said, I've heard of the concept of choosing a sub-niche within a larger niche and sticking to it for a while in order to grow. What do you think of this advice for art channels? I think that I'm so all over the board. I do have to wonder if, because I work in so many mediums, if that hurts me. I mean, I'm going to have people who are only interested in oil paint, and I don't do oil paintings that much. So they're only going to watch the oil painting videos. So it may make a difference in how many views I get. Whereas if somebody just focuses on oils, they're probably, their fans are interested in oils. So they're more likely to watch all those videos. So I don't know. Oh, there's an eraser. I don't know why, and especially generals, why these pink erasers. Let me see if I can show you what these have a tendency to do. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where focusing on something specific, like one medium, would be beneficial. For me, I don't enjoy working in just one medium. So while I may reach more people, like somebody may look for colored pencil and find me, and somebody else will find me because of the oil painting, and someone from something else, I may not get as many views on each video because I am so all over the board. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to simplifying into one thing versus spreading out like I do. But the video, like, I'm not willing to give up what I enjoy doing in order to try to get more views, if that makes sense. Or yeah, I guess. Kirsty said, let's see. You can use colored pencil and pastel pencils together, but I would suggest putting pastels down first and try not to flip up the tooth too much. Makes sense. Okay. Let me see if I can get this. This one maybe. Okay, this one's actually okay. Sometimes you'll get a pink eraser and just a few bits of using the eraser, and you will end up with pink smudges all over. This one's not doing it. So this one seems decent. But normally when I purchase an eraser, I avoid pink erasers or purple or anything. Any of those fun colors, I typically do not go with. For this, I can use that in a sketchbook. But like on my actual art, if I were doing, let's say, a graphite piece, and I use a pink eraser and it leaves a pink line, can't, I may or may not be able to cover that with a graphite. It may always show that color. So normally when I choose erasers, I want to go with something like that, like a white one, or Faber-Castell has one that I really like. We've got this one by Derwent with the white, but usually I will go with white or like the rubber or the gray ones. The, where are they? I don't think I have any over here right now. Weird, I have all the other erasers, but the, gosh, why can't I think of the name right now? The kneaded eraser. That should not have been that hard. Blue T-Art said, I am the parent of 2 lovebirds. We used to breed lovebirds. I used to hand feed them. I am a huge fan of lovebirds. Not a huge fan of the noise, says the person with the cockatiel. But gosh, they're awesome birds. They have such great personalities. I really like those guys. Okay. Oh, Nick, by the way, that is Nick's one of our moderators. He sent me honey from Maine from his own beehives, and that is in my blueberry herbal tea tonight. It is really good, and I may have put a bit too much, so if I end up on a sugar high, we all know why. This must be this. Okay, this is not the pencil I was looking for, but this pencil, this is the General's Layout Extra Black. If I am going to do a piece and only use one pencil, this will be it. This is what I used to do. I used to not have all of the sets of graphite pencil like the Faber-Castell that ranges from 4H or 2H all the way up to 6B or 8B, all of those. I just went with this one and controlled how light or dark it was by the pressure I put. Yeah, you'll get shiny spots because of it, but this is a nice pencil. I am a General's Layout Extra Black is one of like my go-to pencils. That's going to get set off to the side because I do love those. Okay, there's supposed to be a wash in here. Graphite drawing, graphite drawing. They said that they're, I just see HB, 2B. Let's see. I know graphite will kind of smudge anyway when you add water. Not like water-soluble graphite, but the instructions on this made it sound like there was an actual... Did I just read it wrong? Because it sounded like there was a definite... General Sketch and Wash Pencil Kit. I think they sent me the wrong one, honestly. This is not a Sketch and Wash Pencil Kit at all. Yeah, that is definitely not what they sent me in this box. Like, that's not even close. So what they meant to send me apparently is a water-soluble graphite pencil, which they did not. Now, if you, oh, there's one of my other General's Layout Extra Black. See, I love these. But if you ever get a product, whether it be from Smart Art Box or somebody else, and you get a wrong item, don't flip out. I've seen people get super angry. It happens when you've got a lot of supplies around. Definitely easy to grab the wrong one. If it ever happens to you, contact them. They will always send you the right thing. I mean, any good company would do that. So, yeah, that is definitely not. Let me see if I've got any of the wash brushes over here to use instead. Maybe not. I'll probably just use regular graphite and let my pencil line show. Since this is a sketch, I don't really care that much anyway. So let's go. I'm just going to use an HB. Move that off to the side. Let's go ahead and draw an octopus while we chat. Irvin said, do you watch any other art YouTubers? I usually just see them when somebody brings something to my attention. I don't really have a lot of time to watch a lot of videos. I don't know what I'm doing here, so let's just see. I know I want him to hold roses. I've done something like this with a Smart Art Box before, and I kind of want to play around with this design with other colors. So I'm just going to make a mess. This will probably take me a couple of times to get this sketch up. You know what? I want to do it sideways. This will be better. How I want it. I watch Lena Dania. I usually will, usually it's when she tells me about something that she made, then I go and check it out. But I'm really bad about not watching, or, I don't really keep up with a lot. Not because I don't want to, it's just time-wise. Rachel said, I have Prismacolor colored pencils. I want to get another set of colored pencil. What do you suggest? Since you already have a wax-based pencil, I would go with either the Faber-Castell Polychromos or the Derwent Lightfast pencils. Those two brands, you can't go wrong with either one of them, and you can use them in combination with your Prismacolor, which are your wax-based pencil. But I would definitely go with an oil-based, harder lead that will complement nicely with what you already have. Let's see. Nick, you are absolutely responsible for my sugar high. I don't even have, actually, no, I take it back. I do have raw honey here, but I kind of went through a phase where I wasn't eating any of it. And now that you sent me this, yeah, I think I'm addicted again badly. Completely your fault. Angelette Art said, my YouTube channel is all about watercolor painting. Is it okay if I show brands of art supplies on my videos, or do companies require that you ask them permission first? You can absolutely show what you have. You can give your opinion on things. I mean, you're always allowed to give your opinion and reviews on things. You do not need to contact the company. I'm trying to think of exceptions for like what you would want to ask them. Maybe, I'm sure there are if this isn't illegal advice, but you can always review a product. That's never a problem. You can always show the products that you're using. Companies love when we do that. I mean, that's how I've gotten connected with Faber-Castell and Derwent and all of this. They want artists to show their product in use and show why you would want to buy it. Hopefully it is positive. But I mean, if you're sharing your opinion, you have the legal, well, in the US, I don't know about other countries. I'm not sure what, laws you guys have, but here you can absolutely review a product and share pros and cons and everything like that. The only like legal thing, you need to let people know if they sent you the product. You're required by law to let your viewers know that. That's the only like legal thing I can think of. Kirsty said, I've recently started doing tutorials on YouTube, and I'm wondering what's the one piece of advice you would give your younger self in terms of your online success as an artist? It would have been to have started YouTube as soon as possible. I mean, YouTube, what was it, 2005 that really became a thing? And that wasn't something that most people really knew about. People were posting cat videos for the most part. Like my first video was probably in 2005 or 2007. When was that? 2007? 2006. I don't know. It was me teaching one of my Italian greyhounds to do tricks. So it's still on YouTube if you want to see her as a puppy. She was cute. She's a little old lady now. But I wish that I would have started sooner. I wish that I wasn't so worried about what people were going to say that I was afraid to do lessons. Like I was terrified to do a video lesson for anybody because I knew you always have people like, that's not right, that's not true. And I had to get over that fear of somebody arguing with me on something. It's the internet. They're going to argue. They're going to disagree. I'm just going to share my experience and what worked for me and not be paranoid about that. And I wish that that would probably be the biggest advice I would give myself is just do it and don't worry about what somebody else says. Don't worry if somebody doesn't like it because most people are going to be grateful for your advice. They'll be grateful that you gave them. I mean, especially on YouTube, it's free advice. So, that would be my advice is not to worry about, I was trying so hard to not offend somebody. And I still have a tendency to do this to an extent, but where I was like, I don't want to take a firm stance on something because if I say I definitely don't like this product, somebody is going to go, oh no, it's the best that ever was made. And I was worried about that. And I was trying so hard to just kind of stay super neutral, but that also means I'm not sharing all of what I know because I'm not being definite in saying, this product doesn't work for me because of this. This is why I don't like this. Stuff like that. Like I was too worried about stepping on somebody else's toes. That's what I'm trying to say. And my advice to myself would have been, forget about it. Don't worry about it. If you step on someone's toes, you step on someone's toes. I mean, don't be mean to people, but share your experience on why you liked a product or why you disliked a product, what worked, what didn't work. And don't worry about those negative comments. They're going to come no matter what you do. I think that was the thing too, that I had to learn to understand is it didn't matter how neutral I tried to stay on things. You're still going to get people who come on and are jerks. I mean, they'll randomly, like, even if your artwork is perfect, they come in and complain about your hair. Why? I don't know, which was really weird. There was a guy who did that and he had I looked at his channel, I'm like, why is this guy making such nasty comments about how I look? And I look at his and he was like wearing makeup and he had his cat and he's kissing it. I'm like, he's nearly making out with a cat. It was really weird, really awkward. I'm like, this is the person who's judging me. And it was a good thing for me to see and realize the people who were judging me are in no place to be judging anyone. I mean, not that we should judge people anyway. We all do. But I mean, it was helpful for me to realize and get over worrying about what people are saying to you, what mean things. Just do your best. Create the content you want to create. The things that you're passionate about. Share your experiences, whether people like it or dislike it. The people who are going to like you are going to be grateful for that definite answer of, I like this, I dislike that sort of thing. Brent said, that exact thing happened with one of my past boxes, and they gave me the option of sending me the right pencils or a discount on the next box. See, good deal. And even with this, I would probably, I'm almost thinking now, if I were given that option, I would probably take the discount off the next box, because these pencils aren't bad. They're just not what they said they were going to be, which is kind of weird. I'm just playing with this. I'll probably do a couple of different designs. So we'll just do some quick little curly guys. I like swirls. I think that's one of the reasons I like octopuses so much. I really, really like swirls. And you can have so much fun making their arms or tentacles in all kinds of different different positions. How many do I have right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's get another one back here. Wait, no, actually I'll just do it this way. That looks weird. I don't like that one. You look like you have a growth on the back of your head. No growth for you. No, it just looks like a tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good enough. Whoops, and then I threw my pencil on the floor. I guess I'm done with that. What art store is my go-to? If I'm shopping online, usually I try to go with Dick Blick, just because their customer service is amazing. I've had it set. There was one time I screwed up my order. It was my fault. And I called them. I'm like, can you add this item? I'm trying to save on shipping. I forgot to add this thing. And they called me back on a Saturday. It was a lady here in the US, which I also appreciate if the call center is within the country you're actually in, so because it's just easier to communicate. So plus providing jobs here. So she went so far above and beyond to make sure. At first she said she was going to have someone call me back on Monday, the person who normally did that. Then she called me back again. She goes, you know what, I'm afraid that this is going to get missed. I'm just going to go ahead and do it for you. And I mean, she just went so above and beyond. And I've had a couple of times like that where I had to call them, and it was usually because I screwed up my own order. They are so wonderful to work with. So I really, really do like them. There was one time when a box that they sent me was packed really badly and some of the paper was damaged. They replaced that, no problem. I've just been very, very happy with their customer service, and they have good prices. But sometimes they don't have everything I need, or there's better prices at Jerry's Artorama, in which case I may go there, both online. Locally, I'll sometimes go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Not that often. You usually get better prices, but if I'm placing a big order, I'll usually save more buying online, because Hobby Lobby and Michael's, they raise their prices in order to make up for those 40% coupons. I used to work at Michael's, and this was a known thing that they started doing. Their prices just started going through the roof when they offered the 40% coupon. So if you're buying one item, great, you get a decent price. But if you've got multiple tubes of paint you want to buy, the markup on those is not, it's a lot more expensive to buy there than online. So usually I go online more often than not. Let's see. Heather said, thank you for the kick in the butt I needed to start my YouTube channel. P.S. Last week I lasted 5 minutes. Good recovery drugs. What? Oh, how are you feeling? I forgot about that. Elaine said, I recently started drawing again and I'm getting good feedback. How long should I wait to start commissions? I did start drawing samples of my work like you suggested in a video. So you want to have enough done that you're consistent, that you know what kind of a photo you can work from on that commission. So if somebody gives you a photo that you know you can't use, you can comfortably say, sorry, you're not going to be happy with these results. You definitely want me to, actually, one thing I want to check on this. Once it's dry, will it reactivate? I don't think it will. I think I read on the thing that it won't. Not much. Okay, so you definitely want to blend out what you need to blend out before it dries. Good to know. Okay. But, dry that off. What were we talking about? Oh, you want to be consistent. That is very, very important. I've told this story several times. So, I'm going to tell it again. But there was an Italian Graham forum that I used to be on. And there was an artist. She was actually the daughter of one of the main members, or she may have been one of the owners of the group, or moderators, I forget. But her daughter had done a colored pencil drawing of one of the other members' dogs. Beautiful. Now, keep in mind, this other member was a photographer. So she knew how to take really, really, really good photos. So the photo she was working from was phenomenal. And she did this colored pencil piece and it was amazing. I mean, you could see the quick in the dog's nails. It was beautiful. It looked like a photograph. It was so amazing. So another one of my friends hired her to do a painting of one of her, or it was a couple of her dogs. She provided her, my friend provided the artist with a very unfortunate reference photo. It was in the dark. The dogs were across the room. I mean, I would never work from this photo. And she gave this photo to the artist. The artist I don't know if it's because she was inexperienced. I don't know if it's because she just didn't want to say no to something. I don't know what the deal was, but she went ahead and accepted the commission. And when my friend got that painting, she was angry. There was much anger because she paid for this. And it was not the same quality as the amazing, the colored pencil done with the amazing reference photo, because the artist was so inexperienced. As good as she was, I don't know if she just didn't know that she couldn't work from that photo. I don't know why she accepted it, but she never should have. And I had my friend, I'm like, show me the photo you gave her. And she showed it to me. I'm like, oh, she should have never worked from that photo. That was terrible. So, I mean, I'm like, I would never, ever accept that as a commission. So, I mean, and she was angry. So who was wrong in this situation? The person who provided the crap reference photo, or the artist for accepting the crap reference photo and then providing a crap painting on top of it that she charged for? The artist. 100% this was on the artist. The artist, the people who hire you don't know what you can and can't work from. They don't understand what kind of a photo that you can do. It is the artist's responsibility to let the buyer know, hey, you're not going to like the result. This is not going to give you the results you saw on my other piece. So because I blame it mostly on that artist being very young, very inexperienced, to not know to tell her that. So it was, did not create a good reputation for that artist. That's for sure. When you don't know, when that artist is not consistently producing the same quality, and I can tell you right now, it was because of the reference photo. I don't think that she got lazy. I think it was an issue of an absolutely terrible, terrible reference photo. So, and again, that's on the artist. So that's not helping her build much in the way of a reputation for the other people on that forum. No one else is going to want work from her when they saw, oh, we thought we would get quality A, you gave us quality like Z. That was a problem. So I would say that's really when you know that you can tell somebody that whatever they provided you is not going to give them the results that they want. I think that's when you're ready to take commissions. Now, you may want to practice taking commissions from friends and family for like do it as gifts for them. That's an option to kind of get the hang of the process and use them as practice. Make a little contract, an email, something that lets them know this is the time frame. You can start practicing on them and see how that goes. That's the other thing. You need to know how long it will take you to do something. If you're not at a place where you know your time frame, then you're not ready. You need to be able to let the person know, yeah, I'll have this done in 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. And if you don't know how long it takes yet, then you're not ready. That would be another really big thing, I think, to make sure people know, because if you find out or don't realize that and it takes you way longer, that's going to really upset the buyer if it takes longer than what they were expecting in many cases. Sometimes you'll have someone cool who's just like, yeah, sure, whenever you get it done, you get it done. But a lot of times when people do this, they want it instantly, and you need to know how long to let them know. And that was a mistake I made early on. It's funny because I'm actually really good friends with her, Stacy. She hired me to do several Italian Greyhound portraits. I was one of the worst with her. I mean, it would take me, I didn't feel, this is when the fibromyalgia was really bad. So there were so many times I just didn't feel well, and then I didn't want to work. But me not feeling well isn't her problem. You know, as much as we want everyone to be understanding, and she was understanding, she wasn't in a rush and you should get it. But at the same time, you've got to kind of feel bad about that because it isn't her problem that I don't feel well. If I know because of my health that it may take me 2 months instead of 1 month, I need to make sure that the buyer knows that. So just a few commission tips there. But there's not like I wouldn't say a set time, like you need to have been doing this for 6 months or whatever to know. It's just that you need to be able to answer those questions for that person, or for yourself. Can you recognize when a photo is something you can or can't produce the best results from? If someone provides you with something, are you going to produce the same results that you produced on previous pieces they saw that they liked? If you don't know, you're not ready yet. If, if you don't know how long it'll take you, those sorts of things. But when you know you can consistently produce, you know what photo to go from, you know you can consistently produce the same quality, then I think you're ready. ESM said, your advice and hands-on experience is very valuable to your members. Thank you. Miriam said, did I just skip? I did. I just skipped. Hold on. Yeah, Brent said he took the $5 discount on the Smart Art Box thing. That's what I would have done. Miriam said, watched an artist review on colored pencils, and she mentioned her favorite was Holbein Artist Grade with light fast ratings, stars, but didn't find them, heard of them. So here's the thing. I haven't had a good rant on Holbein in a while. Holbein, I don't dislike the company. I have some of their airbrush paints, but Holbein did not do their toxic testing with their colored pencils, so they're not legal to be sold in the US. They're sold from third-party vendors or sellers on like Amazon for like $350. They're the most expensive colored pencil, and if you didn't test for the toxicity, I doubt you actually did the light fast. It makes me question if you really tested for light fast. I've also heard though with the that they're not super accurate with testing with their toxicity stuff with the airbrush paint. Another company brought that up, that they're not like testing as strongly as like Golden's does. So it just makes me wonder. But so I'm not confident at this point. Did you really test for light fast? Like if you didn't even bother testing to make sure that they weren't toxic or get those ratings. And it's not that I'm like opposed to using toxic materials. I oil paint. But my thing is I want to know if they're toxic so I know what precautions need to be taken. But because they didn't do that, they're not legal to be sold in the US. Other, third-party sellers do, but not like through an actual art store. Given that, we are charged insane amounts of money if we want to get them, and they're not available open stock. So you're paying top dollar for a pencil that when you find, you're like, this is the most amazing blue. You can't replace it without replacing the whole set. Why would you put, I don't understand why anybody would pay the money for those, knowing, maybe I just draw more than some of these artists do, but I go through pencils. I mean, gosh, I can grab one colored pencil, and I've always got ones that are out of, I can't even see what I'm grabbing, and you can see they're short. You go through your pencils pretty quick. If I can't replace that pencil, what am I going to do? Like, what was the point of even buying that set? Because they're not available open stock, because they're not supposed to be sold here in the US. You can only buy those sets, and they are price gouging like crazy. They are so overpriced. And people are like, they're the best. They're the best. I talked to people who I really trust who use them, and they said they're not really any different than Faber-Castell. They're not any better. Why then are we paying? I don't know why. I don't know if it's for views. I don't know why people comment or claim that they're the best, because the fact that they have not done toxicity testing, the fact that I can't get them open stock, the fact that they are price gouged here in the US, I don't understand how those three elements count to whether or not something is the best in my book. And those are huge failures as far as whether or not I would buy a pencil. I will not invest money in a pencil I cannot get open stock. I don't care how good it is. Not going to happen. So yeah, those are my attitude on Holbeins. Yeah, I sure wouldn't put the money into it. Not when there are better pencils that we can get open stock that perform amazingly well. That like, I don't see any benefit to buying them. Now, if they become available in the US, they do the proper testing, I'll be the first in line to want to buy them. But right now, I would say no. So that could change in the future. We'll see. I doubt it, because it's been years. Let's see. Sarah said, were there ever times when you were watching videos back in your editing program and felt the need to change the way you worded something? All the time. And if it's something terrible that I can't easily edit out, I'll just put a pop-up window explaining, because I use the wrong word all the time. Sometimes I catch it, sometimes I don't, and I'll just put a pop-up window like, I'm an idiot. That's not what I meant, and do the explanation there. But yeah, I've definitely had to do that when editing. Heather said, doing pretty good, thanks. I'm actually working on sketches while listening to you. Well, at least you're doing art. That's good. That's a huge improvement. Cavium said, went to this career event about arts. One of the speakers said you should expect to fail at some point. What are your experiences with failure in your art career? Well, I would say for sure, and oops, that's wrong. Not the end I want. I would say for sure I failed, if you want to go with like art. I would almost say it was more my attitude though. Art competitions. I went into art competitions expecting to win. And one that was unreasonable because there was art, even like looking at it subjectively, that was phenomenal and way better than mine. I was not at that level yet that a lot of these artists were. Two, it is subjective. You know, what one person likes, the other person doesn't. And I didn't have as much fun as I could have because I went in thinking I'm going to win. That was my goal. I wanted to win. That takes away from the fun and the experience and talking to other artists. And I was too wrapped up in my head, like, you know, I really wanted to win and I didn't. And I was mad about, you know, not liking the art that did win. It wasn't even the artists who were phenomenal. It was people's friends. You could tell this one club that I went to, the people who won the competition were friends of the people putting on the competition. Like, it was definitely one of those things. But I could have had way more fun just being a part of the event. And I think my attitude was the failure there because I went in expecting to win. And that's really not how it works, especially not with art competitions. So that would be a failure. I would say I failed at getting myself out there enough early on, being content in what I was doing and not pushing harder, working harder. There were years that I didn't produce very much art. It was like, yeah, I'll paint when I'm in the mood, here and there. Huge failures there. And then there were, of course, failures where I did a painting and it just did not come out as planned. Some of the time I'll paint over it. Sometimes I've thrown it away. I actually have one now that I'll probably toss, going through packing stuff. But yeah, I've definitely had paintings where I felt that I absolutely failed at what my idea for that painting was. Like, I did not execute those well. There have been a few times that I've done that where it's like, but even if I call them failures, were they? I learned from it. I learned from all of those experiences, whether it be from the art shows to paintings that didn't pan out real well, to maybe not communicating well enough with a client. As much as I say they were failures, were they, or were they just learning experiences? So there's that too. But there are definitely things, I would say more than failures, there were things I would change, things that I learned to do differently. I'm not sure if that really answers your question well, but yeah, there's definitely been quite a few things I would really do a lot differently. How many legs do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Elaine said, I tried to look it up. I'm curious, what was the laptop you just bought for editing videos? I don't edit the videos on the laptop, although this laptop could handle it. It's an MSI, what does it say on it? GS63 Stealth, if that's actually what it is. It's a Steel Series. It's an MSI gaming laptop, but the one that I actually edit my videos on, this one could do it, but I use a desktop. It's an MSI i900 something. It was one of the newer ones that came out in, when was that? April, May, June? I don't think it was May. That one has been wonderful. I've been really happy with that, other than it being Windows 10. Robert said, any recommendations on refillable water brushes? My favorites are my Derwents. Do I have any over here? Which I may use for some of this. I've got Derwent water brushes, and I don't know where they are. Those ones are my favorites. Just because you get a pack of 3 of different sizes, and it just, like, that's everything you need. Really nice. What is the best way to protect your artwork? It depends on what medium. I need more information. And make sure that you're doing at Lachri Fine Art. If it doesn't highlight in orange, I probably won't see the question. It's not that I'm trying to ignore you. I just don't see them. Some of these I am seeing. Let's see. Hello, I am new to your channel. I was wondering, acrylic, what is the best advice you could give someone who is used to using only watercolor? Mix water with your paint. A lot of people have this thing in their head that you just take the paint straight out of the tube. Just like you're doing with watercolor to thin it out, you're going to do the same with acrylics. With acrylics, you're going to learn to paint very fast. It's going to dry really quickly. Use a decent canvas. Don't, like the watercolor paper, a lot of people will try to do acrylic on that. I mean, you can do it, but it soaks in weird. You're not going to get the same blending. Very, very different results. So that would be my advice there. I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just playing. We'll try another sketch after I get him sketched out. Oh, that green is actually kind of pretty. I thought I grabbed a black, but that is not black. That is green. I think actually, I don't know if I want one that thin. ice is trying to get out. Actually, I think I want a thicker black line. Where did that marker go? There we go. I don't care if anything on this is perfect. This is just kind of loose sketchbook type art. Nothing I would even remove from this or frame or make prints or whatever. So staying inside the line is not a concern of mine right now. What I'm trying to do is just kind of get a feel for it. And then I can try something a little bit more precise after. So this marker, I can go back over if I wanted to blend that out. You actually could do something really detailed with these. With shading and layering. The previous layer doesn't really activate, so you could do a lot of layering and glazing. I think I'm going to do that after this guy. Maybe I'll get a reference photo or something in here to look at. I'm just kind of painting from my head. I'm not doing like, whoops, not even staying inside the line. Let's let that dry, that page dry, and I'm going to do, we'll start a new sketch. I do want something to look at though. What can I use as reference? Huh. I'm looking around. I don't see anything I can use as even like still life. I don't have anything in here. Well, I'll just go for my head again. Okay. Art Jitter said, I'm curious about matting. Is it needed for selling art? And is there a certain portion of the paper that should be sectioned off so the drawing doesn't get cut off? Thanks. So when you mat, your mat is going to cover some of the artwork. You want to make sure that you've filled in enough of the artwork that when you put it into like a standard side mat, if you're not going to make a custom one, that white border doesn't show through. So I generally, if I'm going to do that, I take my color and go all, out past where the mat is going to be. And an easy way to do that, let's say you're using a mat that will fit an 8 by 10 piece, which will turn the piece into an 11 by 14 inch. So it's an 11 by 14 mat, fits 8 by 10. You want to take the mat. What I do, I set it on top of what I'm working on and I make a little light pencil mark of where the mat is going to fill in. And I make sure, like, let's say I'm using colored pencil, that it goes over the edge. Now, if I'm doing watercolor, colored pencil, any type of pencil medium, that's going to be matted. Or anything done on paper, that would be matted. If it's a canvas, that just gets framed. Like an oil or acrylic painting, that does not have a mat on it. But anything else, yeah, I want to make sure that the color extends past the mat a little bit. And you need to make sure that your paper extends past the mat, because if your mat, it needs to overlap it. If the paper isn't big enough to fit that mat, you've got a hole there. So obviously that's not good. There's not like a set number it has to be, but it needs to be enough that you don't see the background or through the mat. You want the art completely filling in that space. Michael said, I just checked the MeWe group is at 699. All we need is one more person to hit 700. Someone out there can join or pass the invitation to a friend. Yeah, if you go to our MeWe group, link is in the video description. MeWe, if you're not familiar, very similar to Facebook, except good. It has really good privacy policies, not like Facebook, who is selling all our information. They're not filtering the content to where, like, when I posted on Facebook tonight about the live stream, there's a good chance most people won't end up seeing it for days. So it's not even current that you're seeing it. And I'll keep seeing the same posts again and again from the same people versus like everybody I follow, everything I want to see. MeWe is way better design, so much better. Link is in the description, and you could be our 700th member over on there. Miriam said, not cool. Holbein toxins, not cool. How did they pass the ASTM? Weird. Well, that's the thing. They didn't do the testing for toxicity. We don't know what they don't have toxicity reports. So I can't say if they're toxic or not. I don't know because they didn't test them. So, and that's where the problem is. I'm not saying they're toxic. We don't know because they didn't test them. And the testing is very expensive. I get that, but it's weird to me that they wouldn't test it because do they know something and they don't want you to know that I don't know, because they would sell like crazy here if they were a decent price. I'm sure people would go crazy buying them. The other thing with the Holbein that is not appealing to me, it's almost all pastel colors. Like, it was crazy to me looking at the color list or, the samples that people have, the amount of pastels in that thing. I'm like, these are waste. all I would do is add white to one of the other colors to lighten it. It seemed like too many pastels. Kind of like when we look at our other pencils and we're like, wow, there are a lot of yellows in this box. There were a lot of pinks, a lot of pastels that I was definitely not attracted to. We'll say that. They don't seem so super practical. Ursi said, maybe invest in mini octopus sculptures. That is a good idea. Actually, I packed them. Where did I pack them? Did I actually pack them? I have boxes all over the place. I have a little clownfish that would have been perfect for this. Well, I don't have orange. I packed a bunch of my little figurines because that was one of the things I'm like, oh, I won't need those. Yeah, apparently I do. Okay. What should we do next? I've got to have something over here. I have my little Warhammer characters, but they're a little bit too detailed for a live stream sketch. Let me see. Do I have anything out here? Yeah, it's not looking good. I don't really have a whole lot of anything to use. I've still got paintings on the wall, but those aren't super practical. No, I guess we're just going to wing it. Okay, back to the pencil sketching. I guess I could do another octopus. I don't even have like any of... What do I have that would work for this? I'm so bad at coming up with ideas off the top of my head. That was my plan for tonight. Let's see. Let's pull something up on Pixabay. Let's see what we've got. You guys want to give me a suggestion for a subject matter, and I'll see what I can find on Pixabay, and we'll do a loose, like, cartoony sketch of that. I'll answer some questions while you guys suggest some stuff. Let's see. Would you mat artboard papers or not? I would, absolutely. If it's a paper or a board, absolutely. I always mat those. Have I ever used watercolor ground on canvas in order to watercolor or gesso on canvas? Well, my canvases come pre-primed, which is a gesso. So I have no need for them. I have sometimes tinted because that color would work better as an underlaying, where I don't use a watercolor ground. It would just be a thinned out acrylic in my case. So I have done that, but no, watercolor ground, no. I never needed to. I don't even have watercolor, like, I have watercolor pencils. I don't have watercolor. I just used acrylic thinned down when I needed that look. But my canvases all come pre-gessoed. So the only time that I will gesso a canvas is if I need to make it more smooth. I can put a couple of coats of gesso and then sand that down and get a really smooth finish. Let's see. Veek said, how do I store OMS and do I need to line my floors for protection? It's not acid. You're okay. I store mine. Let me see. I've got it up here. Can't reach it. I store mine in a lock and lock container that works really well. No matter what you store it on, you don't want to store it sideways. Eventually that will leak out. OMS will leak out of everything eventually. So it has like a rubber seal. Those ones seem to be by far the best at keeping things in. And yeah, mine's just in a little lock and lock container. Glass jar with I've got some... I'm not going to reach up there again. That have a rubber seal around that. That would work as well, as long as you've got a lid on it. EMS said, I keep saying EMS. ESM said, do you always paint and draw while sitting in a chair, or do you stand at times? I almost always sit. Occasionally, I did go through a phase a few months ago where I was standing a bunch, and I don't know why that changed. Maybe I'll go back to that again. Casey said, just signed up for MeWe recently and find that like Facebook sometimes it will shows you, I think there are some grammar issues in that. It will show you, I can't read it this way. Point is, it doesn't show you the newest post first. You can change that in your settings. Go to your settings and you can choose like what order you want to see things in. I think the default shows you like the most popular or most common, whatever, but you can change it to be newest first. That's what I did. Oops, scroll too far. Kathy said, use the bird on the back of the brochure. Yeah. That's a bit more basic than I want to go with. Have I ever drawn with a fountain pen? Yeah. Well, I don't typically draw with them. I used to do calligraphy writing, so it was like a calligraphy type fountain pen. And I used to work at an animal hospital, and to practice my calligraphy, I would, when I filled in the paperwork, I would write it in calligraphy. I had to write fast or the doctor would get mad at me. HR Fine Art said, Conure, Ibisen Hound, Borzoi, or a Beta? Let's see. I don't really have the colors for some of these. The Beta I could do. That's a good idea. Let's see. Actually, oh, it's not the right color. I can do the Beta just over at Ben's Betas. That's where my Beta comes from. And I'm going to use some of his work. I talked to him recently. I get to use some of his Betas for some paintings. So let's look him up really quick on Facebook. It's Ben's, or Ben Beta Aquatic, if you want to look at with me over on Facebook. You can also, if you are looking for a really nice Beta, you can order from him. He's in Colorado. He imports them and then he'll ship them to you. That's who my Beta is from. Let's see. I actually get to see him in a couple weeks over on at Aqua. Yay. Okay. Let's see if any of these are a similar enough color that will work. A lot of reds and... This is a pretty yellow and white one. Let's paint him. Okay. Hold still. It's a video. Ah, there's music. Stop. Stop. Let's see if I can get the fish into a position that's not front view. It's a little, he's mostly white with a yellow tail. He's very similar to what mine looked like when I got him. Actually, you know what? I bet I have photos. I'll do it that color. Photos of my fish. And those are videos. Okay, one of these should work. Here we go. There's a photo I have of chicken with my fish, and these actually colors will work. This is probably not the best pencil. 2H would probably be a better one to line it with. My Beta is super fat because if I don't overfeed him, he eats his tail. He's a genius. Well, apparently he is, because it got me to start overfeeding him like he wanted. Oops, I guess I can get a few more questions as oh, we've got your suggestions coming in. Yeah, HR Fine Art says, who said you needed the right colors? You are not wrong. Let's see. A fountain pen would look great with these markers. Yeah, they probably would. Would you be able to use your desktop for gaming? I need a good computer for both games and editing, but budget is too tight. Absolutely, I do. I mean, the only game I play is World of Warcraft, so keep that in mind. That you could run on a toaster. So, but yes, that is, and it is like made for that. It's probably one of the like best gaming PCs out there. At the time that I bought it, I'm sure there's newer stuff that's every month there's something newer that's better, but it's an i9000. So the processor on it's great. The graphics card is amazing, but that's the one that I ended up getting. Let's see. Miriam says, get your microphone. Oh, I could. Pets are good for those sorts of things. Yeah, but they're not in here right now. Well, I did find the photo of my Beta, so we'll do that with his partial tail. It's mostly grown back, though. I actually didn't think it was going to. I mean, it was so damaged from him eating it. But such a booger. And then we can throw some bubbles, too. I think I want to try to do like a light blue. Let's play around with trying to make a light blue. And I wonder, actually, let's rip this out. I have an idea, and I don't know if it's going to work. Apparently, I can't even work the paper, so Oh, it's not a good start. Okay. First, tea. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, blue. I want to see what happens if I take a light blue first on another piece of paper and then lift it with a paintbrush and use that to paint on. Yeah, that works. Actually, you know what would work better is to get the paper wet. It's going to warp like crazy, but I just want to get, it doesn't need to be perfect. I just want kind of a splash of blue through this. Nope, wrong side. What do I think of the paper? I actually really like this paper. I mean, it wouldn't be the best paper for watercolor. Normally it is going to work, but for just loose sketch paper, I've used this paper before. I bought it myself a while back. And it's one of my favorite, like of the sketch papers that I have, it definitely is one I do like. I find myself reaching for this one quite often. Trying to keep this from drying. Once it dries, that watercolor doesn't really want to move around much. Let's put an Aqua one in just because we can. And maybe some dark blue. Again, just because we can. Because it's kind of fun to play with. So this is working right on the wet paper. This gives you really soft. You can see where it kind of bleeds out, which is fun. Need a little more over here. In this photo, he was actually looking at chicken. Chicken and him were apparently quite entertained with each other the other night. Sketch my coral. I would. It's not in this room though, so I can't use it as reference. Oh, I guess I could find. I'm probably got have photos of that on my phone too. He likes my large tea bottle with a nozzle. Yeah, it's really handy and it keeps it cold. I mean, I can have iced tea in there and come back the next day and it's still got ice in it. Like it never defrosted all the way. It's pretty nice. It was cheap too. I don't remember where I got this one. I just remember thinking, wow, that is really cheap. Like it isn't a Yeti or one of the fancy ones. Do I think Copic markers or Karen markers are better? I'm a major noob to this. I'm not a marker person. I've never really gotten into them other than I like my Winsor Newton pigment markers because of the way that they blend. They blend more like paint. But I have never even heard of Karen markers, so I don't know what those are. I know everyone loves the Copics. I know Copics aren't light fast. The only light fast markers I know of are the Winsor Newton pigment markers. So I don't know. Although these said something about light fastness, but I don't think it says anything on the box, like what the actual ratings are. Let's see. Yeah, there's... It says conforms to ASTM-D, but it doesn't say what those light fast ratings are, so I really have no idea. I'd have to look into that. But most markers are not light fast. I know Copics aren't. I would assume the others aren't either, but I don't know for sure. Okay. Oops. I actually don't know how yellow this is. Ooh. Wow, that's pretty much the color of my beta's tail. Nice. So let's go ahead and sketch that in. Oh, my neighbors are being loud again. I'm trying to not get it in the blue too much because it'll bleed. And I left the center white so that it would look lighter, so I got some variation there. I'll come back through with details. This is just the base. Karen, watercolor ink and a brush marker. Not at all like the Copics. Oh, well, there you go. I had no idea. Blue Tea Art said, I just purchased the entire store for my lovebirds. Yeah, they're definitely fun to shop for. We went yesterday to a reptile store to shop for my husband's snake. That was kind of fun. We got her a steak or a stick, and then these 2 little things for her to hide in. The breeder had said she didn't need anything like that in her tank yet, but she's so active, and we thought she would enjoy it, and it would be easier for her to regulate her temperature if she had like a little dome to hide in. She seems to love them. So while she may not have needed them, she sure seems to like them. Yeah, I can definitely see where a water-soluble graphite pencil would have been better. This is really, those graphite lines really show through that yellow. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. Now he's got lots and lots and lots of blue and black. So I think this was the darker blue. He used to be mostly white. Now he's mostly blue and black. And Ben, who I got this guy from, has been tempting me with more fish. Like, I need another tank. But he's got some, he had one beta that just sold. My next one I want to be the red and orange mostly with some white. Oh my gosh, so pretty. And it would stand out so good against the greens of a planted tank. So yeah, he was just tempting me. He kept sending me photos the other day. I'm like, stop it. I'm moving. And even when I move, I don't need more tanks to take care of. I don't know if I'll resist though when Aquashella in Dallas next year comes. That's bleeding in a little bit with the yellow. I probably should stop and let this dry. Answer some questions while we wait. I don't know what this is. Is this blue or gray? Oh, it's gray. No, it's blue. What is this? Aqua pen. Is it supposed to be a color or a blender? Or... Oh, it's kind of a silvery. I can't tell if it's because it's wet or if it's actually metallic. We'll use that on the white when that dries. Let's see if we've got here. We're good. Okay, more tea then. This sort of thing is just so much fun, and I really wish that I would make myself do it more. I need more time, I guess. But these loose sketches that you don't even care what they look like, you just kind of have fun. They're so fun. It's a lot of fun, especially if you're like me and you're used to nonstop taking all of your artwork too seriously, where everything has to be perfect. This is definitely a nice break from that. To just kind of play around and experiment, and I don't care what this looks like. I'm not trying to make it look good. I'm just playing with the supplies. Definitely a lot of fun. If that's not something that you've done much, I definitely recommend it. Put your fabulous art on the fridge in your kitchen. I definitely don't want to put art in my fridge. I've got coupons all over my fridge right now that I always forget to bring with me. But yeah, I definitely, in the new house, there will be nothing on the fridge. Maybe a few magnets, but not much. Yeah, I actually prefer everything to look more clean there. I've got paperwork and stuff all over my fridge now, but that needs to go away. I think my fish, he's getting so much black, he's losing even a lot of the blue. I think he's trying to turn into a saint's fish. Little does he seem to know that all of the refs are against the saints right now, so it's probably not the right thing to go with. No, actually, his eye should be more forward. This whole area is dark in the photo, so I can't really see what's what. I'm not a football fan, but my husband is. He loves the Saints. And so he comes and tells me all the stuff going on with them. Yeah, it's pretty crazy what the stuff the refs and all, like, I don't even understand how they can get away with some of the stuff that they do. see. I'm going to use the red and then blend that out a little bit to get more of an orange color, hopefully. Let's see what happens. Oh, that works. Definitely got more orange. Oops, blending in with the black. Don't smear. I should have let that dry. Okay, we have to let that dry. I can do the bubbles, though. Just put the little dark and then smudge it down. And apparently work outside the line because I'm a pro. Yeah, I really should be letting this dry in between. So everything's kind of bleeding together right now. What is the longest you have spent on a realistic colored pencil piece? Weeks. I don't know how many hours though. That would be a harder thing to call because there have been times where I spent weeks, but I spent more hours on other projects. One of the longest was the tiger that has the waterfall in the background and he's like laying on a rock. That was a 16 by 20. That was before powder blender, so something not large. Dear God, that took forever. That one was rough. Elaine said, have you ever at some point earlier in your career used a phone to shoot video for YouTube? No, because when I started, my phone wasn't very good. Like I didn't have a phone good enough for that. I started with a flip cam, this little like RCA or something like that. Like it was kind of shaped like a phone, but you would have this flip screen that would pop out. That's what I started with. Oops. Come on. Unlock. There we go. Now you can get away with phones. The problem with phones, though, they're going to get really hot. They're not really meant to record as long as you would need. Now, I have used my phone for B-roll. Like when I go to the fish store or something like that, I'll use my phone then. But I've not for like recording the artwork. But no, and I got the GoPros. The plan with the GoPros was to use more for B-roll, and I still use them sometimes. That's actually the main thing I'll bring with me to Aqua in Chicago. And when is that? The end, a week, 2 weeks? No live stream next week, by the way, because I'm going to be getting ready to leave for Aqua. But I got the GoPro for B-roll, but I find that because I always have my phone with me, it's just easier to use my phone now when I go like out places. Like the video that I did, which video was that? A couple weeks ago, and I showed my tank at the end. I had bought the new coral. I just recorded all that on my phone. It's what I had with me. And it was kind of like a last minute plan. I wasn't even planning to get a coral that day. So I just used what I had. I'm really messy with these. I mean, he kind of looks like my fish. A little. Sort of. Not really. It's got dark in here. Let's see. What else can I draw? I'm bored with that one. What is the paper weight in that sketchbook? Good question. Let's see. This is 100% cotton, vellum finish, 90 pounds. So not too heavy. Nick said, is my move going to add to Matt's work commute or is he closer now? Well, right now he's only 5 minutes from where we live, but that building is supposed to be moving closer to where our house is, which is why we chose a house out in that direction. Because I would have actually preferred to stay out here versus going more north, but because we're really out in the middle of nowhere and I worry about tornadoes the further out you go that direction. But that is going to be closer to the new location. Either way, no matter what, he's going to have a much longer drive than what he has now. Right now it's 5 minutes. So yeah, but he only works 4 days a week. So even having that commute, it's not as bad as somebody who has to work 5 days a week commuting. But the commute should either way, at worst, if he were driving from there to here, it's about 40 minutes and versus the 35 here. 5 here. When he moves to the other location, if they move, they've been saying they're moving forever, but if they do move to that location, it'll probably be about a 20-minute drive each way. So not terrible. Okay, what else should I draw? I'm trying to think. I'm still obsessed with the octopus thing, but I'm not having these markers. They're fun to play with. Would I buy them? No. I would use them for sketchbooks. Like, they're not something that I'd be like, I'm just going to toss these. They are cool. If you like markers, they're cool. I'm not a marker person. So, but I like, if I'm going to do sketchbook stuff, sometimes like a loose sketch, I do like them sometimes for that. This isn't one. I'm sure I could do something super realistic with these. They definitely have the capability. I'm not using them to that extent by any stretch of the imagination tonight, but they're not. Oh, I have a plant right here. Why didn't I draw my plant? I'm kind of sitting at a weird angle for it, so. But yeah, they're definitely, if you like markers, I would say give them a try. I have no idea what their retail is for these, but they're fun to play with if you like markers. I'm just not, besides the pigment markers, That's going to go off the page. It's a Sansevieria, so, you know, they're long. He's not going to fit on here. Here's a limp leaf because I'm really bad about remembering that it's in the studio and to water it. I occasionally, because there's not really any light in here, and by really light, I mean there is no light in this room, so I have to, like, over there a little, but there's nowhere to put him. So I have to remember to rotate him with another one so he gets light, and I kind of forgotten. I'm really bad about keeping him watered. I should do that after the live stream. So he's got some limp leaves in there. Sorry, guy. In your new home, you'll be taken care of better. You will have better lighting. You know what? I'm curious. Let's see what happens. Let's line everything with black first and do some shading. Let's see what kind of results we get there. Little squiggles for the gravelly soil he's in. I feel like these are the type of sketches that I make when I'm on the phone. Like, they're not serious at all. Sorry, Smart Art Box. I am failing at the supplies you've sent me today. Well, didn't send them today. Sent them a long time ago because I'm really behind on these. And then I'm going to let that dry completely before I do any blending over it because I am pretty sure that is just going to bleed like crazy. My God, my perspective is off on this. Let's round that out. Do some little cross-hatching kind of shading here. Actually, these guys have little stripes. We'll just throw some of that in there. You know, because I'm going for super realistic, apparently. Elaine said, ooh, tornadoes in a live stream could be an interesting video. That would be a video that I'm hiding in my closet. That's not going to be a video. Or I could be in there with my phone. I'm from Southern California. Like, earthquakes don't bother. I don't like them, but that's like normal to me. Tornadoes, that's a whole other thing. And it's funny because like, you think, okay, tornado, you go hide in a basement. Yeah, we don't have basements in Texas. So it's always a bit of a concern. And when you get out into like the more open areas where there's not a lot of buildings, like the further away you move from Dallas, especially going north, yeah, that concerns me. Oh, I don't know what I thought this bottom section was going to be. I don't know. We'll just turn it into a shadow. That's a hot mess. Okay, let's let that dry. Veek said, can I use polychromos pencils on Arches watercolor paper without OMS? You can use them on anything without OMS. A lot of people do. Like Alan Woollett, who is phenomenal and amazing, especially with his polychromos or his pencil of choice, and he doesn't use OMS at all. You absolutely can use it without. I prefer with. I can't work without because I have arthritis in my right hand and I'm right-handed. So the pressure that it would take to do colored pencil, I would have to give it up. I actually almost did give it up between fighting with Prismacolor and then the pain in my hand. I didn't do a lot of colored pencil for years. What are these? Why do I have Graphitense over or Derwent Metallics? Where did these come from? Weird, sorry, random, distracted. But I didn't do a lot of colored pencil for years because of the pain that it was causing me. So I can't do without. So it's not something that I can really show you how that works. But no, there are plenty of artists who work without OMS. It definitely is harder on your hands. It takes longer to layer some of that, but you can do it for sure. Will Chris let me in the closet though? Yeah, probably not. I've promised her that closet for years. She thinks that's hers. Ongoing like inside joke between me and a good friend of mine. And now that I'm getting a closet that size, she said it's hers. If you've not seen it, if you follow me on Facebook, not my page, but my personal one, you can follow. It's public stuff. Or on MeWe. I posted updates of what the house, like where it is so far in the build. Nick said, surely the HOA doesn't allow tornadoes. It's in its jurisdiction. You know, considering how controlling they are of everything else, you're probably right. Although, you know, I have to say, I watched the community group for that HOA. And some of the stuff the neighbors come up with, like they were so angry. He got a notification that he needed to mow his lawn and he posted the photo. See, it's not even long. And I'm looking at that photo going, thank God for the HOA because your yard is going to make the neighborhood look like trash. If you think that, like he was only mowing every few weeks or like every other week, I think, which you can't really get away with here. It needs to be done every week because it grows even every week. It just gets really long, really bushy. So, you know, the HOA I've discovered is not all bad. Mostly bad. But that was one case when the neighbor had posted his yard and I'm looking at that going, and people were on his side. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that you needed to mow that. What are you talking about? Are you not looking at the same photo I am? That looks terrible. Excuse me, terrible. I burp on my live stream. That's classy. Let's see. Gail said, we have an underground storm shelter in our garage. Will your new place have a hunker bunker? The entire state of Texas should require them. No, it doesn't come with anything. Like none of the houses out here do. I mean, even now I'm in an apartment on the 3rd floor, and they always tell you get down to the 1st floor. I don't have a 1st floor. There's no option for that for me. If something comes, I mean, this area usually isn't too bad, but they do have, you can build them. They were like $5,000. I looked into it. They'll come and cut a section out of your garage that you can use. It's not called that, but something like that. And that's a possibility. The thing that concerns me with that is if they say that you let the fire department and the local people know that you've got that thing, because if there is a tornado, you can get trapped in there. If stuff falls on that, I'm like, I've never heard of somebody like that concerns me. That just terrified of being inside like this underground coffin, essentially. You know, it's bigger than a coffin, but being trapped under there, I'm like, that sounds scarier to me than the tornado. So I don't know. I may regret that. Gail said, just curious, how far are you moving away? It's about 40 minutes north of where I'm at now. So not terribly far. It's still North Texas, still, you know, I think it's prettier where I live now, but the houses in the one, we wanted to move closer to where Matt's going to be working. But the other thing is that it's way cheaper. The further away from Dallas you go, the cheaper it gets. So the size house I needed in order for my business, because I really wanted an office and the studio, and then I needed a bedroom for me, a bedroom for he snores, so we can't sleep in the same room, but those 2 bedrooms and then a room for the chickens and his computer. So to get a house that size, we had to go pretty far out in order for that to be in our budget. Imagination Art said, have you used the Faber-Castell aquarelles, and what is the difference between those and watercolor pencils? The graphite pencils, you mean? Or am I thinking, what do they call their watercolor ones? It's right in front of me. Hold on. And yes, I've used both. These are, Okay, no, I'm confusing that with the Albrecht Dürer, which are in my hand. I don't know why I carried them over here. But the Faber-Castell aquarelles, those are the water-soluble graphite. Wonderful, and they're pretty much work like watercolor, except when they dry, they don't lift the same that watercolor does. That would be the biggest difference in using them practical application. Let's see. Gina said, come on over if it gets bad. I'm in Frisco. You can bring all the animals. I am so close to where you are, so I may hit you up for that. I will be very near you. Oh, honey is so good. How did I live without it I went years without it for some reason. I don't think I'm giving that up again. Tammy said, lived in North Texas all my life, 61 years, single family house, no shelter, and no tornado direct hit. Hold my breath. I hold my breath sometimes though. I think the tornado warnings, those sirens are scarier than anything else. That is the most eerie sound when those go off. I've only been where they were really going off a couple of times. I want to say it was 2012, 2011. We had a crazy set of storms come through here. Or like through North Texas. I mean, there were tornadoes everywhere, the sirens, and I was teaching at I can't talk, Let's Art Party, which was one of those drink wine while you paint nights. And so we moved the students. They couldn't drive. A few went home when they heard the storms were coming. And some of them were like, I can't leave. I can't drive in this. I'm too far away. It's not safe to be on the roads right now. So I didn't drive myself, so I was stuck there regardless. My husband waited until the storms calmed down because it was better just to stay where you were at. The storms were so crazy. So we moved into the back of the building and closed the big curtain because it was a big window in the front just in case it broke because the hail was hitting. It was crazy. So trying to teach that night, because I was trying to keep everyone else calm while teaching during the storms. It was so crazy. That was the worst I've experienced since moving here. We haven't had anything that crazy again. But that one was terrifying. Yeah, Joseph said, you may want to specify all her animals. Yeah, the snake. I'm going to end up having some red-eyed tree frogs. I was eyeing those again yesterday at the reptile place. The dogs. The chickens. The fish. Can the fish come too? Imagination Art said, I have a set of the aquarelle colored pencils. I've heard you talk about their watercolor ones, but unsure if they are the same. So the aquarelle ones are the water-soluble graphite, which I love. Love those. I actually have a drawing right here of them. Hold on. I think, did we do this on a live stream? I don't remember what this one was from, but it may have been a Patreon live stream. But there's this one. That is the Faber-Castell. Oh, no, I think I did this for Faber-Castell showing their thing. So this video hasn't gone out to anybody yet. But so you guys are the first to see this. But this one was done with the Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarelle, and that is the water-soluble graphite pencil. Love these. Actually really like how this guy came out. But yeah, that video will eventually be up at some point or another. But once they're dry, they don't really move. Like if I put water over it, it doesn't smudge a little bit, but not much. Whereas if I do that same thing, actually, why don't we do a test while that sits and dries? I can show you a sample. 1 second. Let me find mine. Where do I have them? Okay, here we go. So here, and this will take a few minutes for this to dry. Actually, I should do it on a separate piece of paper that way so I can sketch out my little plant. So this one's the HB. And these come in different values. So you've got light to really dark, like your normal graphite sets. And then let's just grab one of the watercolor pencils. This is in the way. So let's put that away so I don't lose it. These are like one of my most prized possessions right now are these watercolor pencils. So when you blend that out, it looks a lot like watercolor, the way it smudges. I probably should have chosen a darker one. And then the actual watercolor pencil. So we'll let that dry and I'll show you how that doesn't really reactivate. Actually, let me grab a darker pencil too, because I don't think that's going to show that well. Here's a 6B, so that'll show up a little bit better. You see it gets really dark, which is amazing. So we'll just set that to the side to dry so I can show you how they reactivate or don't. I keep looking over here. My camera's not here. That's the different camera. You guys are there. I'll show you how that works once that's... Let me move this guy out of the way because I don't want to mess that up. I am really looking forward to allergy season being over. This has not been fun. Okay, well, this part of the plant, let's make green. We'll just mix the yellow and the... Oh, it is smudging a little with that black. It's not dry enough. That may have been a bad choice. Maybe we'll let that set a bit longer after I blend this. Oops. I should dip the right end of the brush in the water. Oh, yeah, that is making a muddy mess. So that is not what I thought would happen. So my plan, which would work for the green of the plant, that is... really activating. I thought once it dried it would be okay, but apparently not. We'll let that dry. It kind of gave a cool effect though. It wasn't what I was planning on, but I don't hate it. But it is reactivating that black. I thought that it wouldn't do that once dry. I was wrong. Let's see. Jenna said, yes, all animals, even have a few tanks set up for your fish. Snakes okay too. We'll just hope we don't need to do that. But I do thank you for the offer. That's cool. You're like way close to me. Joseph said, I meant you would be emptying the local zoo. Yeah, pretty much. Miriam said, you could sketch an octopus coming out of your plant sketch. Oh, that would be cute. Oh, I like that idea. Okay, let's get this one going, and I want to do a quick sketch of that. Gail said, our shelter has a siding roof, like an elevator lying flat, and room with seating for 12. We live in Alabama's Tornado Alley. Oh, wow. Yeah, you'd have to have one there. Imagination Art said, these aren't the graphite pencils. They are the art grip colored pencils. Okay, I don't know anything about those. That I can't give you any information on. Okay, let's do this really quick. As much as I wasn't planning on this blending with the black, I'm kind of liking that look. So that's the thing with art. When you're doing stuff, when things don't go quite as you were thinking they would, don't give up, don't throw it up, figure out how to work with it. Because sometimes those accidents, sometimes they look terrible and there's nothing you can do with it. And sometimes they just kind of give you a neat look. And that doesn't matter what medium you're working in. You want to experiment constantly. And like in a case like this, like what I'm doing tonight, I'm not trying to make some amazing piece. I'm experimenting. I'm playing with them. I'm getting an idea of what they can do. If I wanted to do something serious, I would do this first and then try something serious after I kind of figured out how to work with them. Any tips for improving my art? Draw more. Paint and draw more. I mean, that's kind of a generalized thing. But yeah, I mean, you're going to get the same answer, honestly, from all artists. And I know it's not the answer people want. People want like some specific tip. But the main thing, paint and draw and experiment. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that everything needs to be perfect, that you're too afraid to mess up. That's a big one. People get so worried about messing up that they don't experiment, that they don't improve because of that. They let that fear hold them back. So just jump in and start painting and drawing. That's how you're going to improve. You can read all the books, you can watch all the videos, but if you are not painting and drawing more, it's not going to make any difference. You have to actually do the work, which I know is not what people want. Let's use the darker blue and see what happens, since I already know what the lighter blue looks like. Random question, but I bought the Caran d'Ache Pablo 40 set, and I have read they behave similar to oil-based colored pencils, but they aren't oil-based. So what's the difference about Pablo? So here's the thing with the oil and wax-based, and Caran d'Ache, Faber-Castell, they're all super guilty of this. They originally are like, yeah, this one's wax-based, this one's oil-based. And then they come back and they're like, no, they're not. We don't know where you got that info. From your website. I got it from your website, which it still says, Faber-Castell. But all of the pencils are semi-wax and oil-based. But yeah, the Pablos are a harder lead, and I think that's why a lot of people call them oil-based. They're a much harder lead than the Caran d'Ache. So they're essentially the same as if you've ever used the Prismacolor and Prismacolor Very Thins. They're pretty much what Prismacolor Very Thins are to Prismacolor Premier. So that is really what the Pablos are. They're a harder lead. I don't love them. The only thing that I like them for, and I actually really like them for this, is when working on sanded paper for final details. I do like the Pablos for that. But for the way that I work, Pablos are completely ineffective for my normally like layering with OMS and such. I've never really liked them very much. I have a few, and I ended up using them. I do like them with OMS, or I'm sorry, with working on sanded paper and powder blender. Not with powder blender, but like on a project that I used powder blender on for my final layers that I'm done blending with powder blender, just final detail layers. Then I actually really like the Pablos, but otherwise not a huge fan of them. So I haven't invested. I kept saying I was going to, and I never got around to it. But yeah, if you've used Prisma Premier, they're pretty much the equivalent, Prisma Premier to Prismacolor Very Thins, very similar, in how those work. Molly said, "Do you like my surreal drawing? I tagged you in on Instagram. It had a harp in it." Yeah, that was really cool. I like that design. Molly's Fine Art said, "Hi Lisa, what printer do you recommend for art prints?" I don't make art prints on my own. You may want to talk to Lena Dania. She prints on her own, I believe, still. I don't, so I can't give you any advice there. I have a cheap Canon one that barely prints my labels for my things. I have mine all my prints are done through other companies. Ink is so expensive, and I'm like, it just didn't seem practical for me to fight with printing and shipping and all of that, so I use third parties for all of that. But I know Lena does have a printer. They're very expensive because you need a certain type of ink that she uses. But if you don't know, look up Lena Dania here on YouTube. She may even have videos talking about what she uses. I'm not sure. Okay, there's my plant. Random plant. This, if it dried, I could go through and sharpen things up with a line again. I don't love these thin ones, or just almost too thin for me. I definitely prefer, and this would be better if I did the opposite order. It gave me a cool look where it blended here, but I think if I did the black on top would look better than the black first. So lesson learned there. Diane said, "What exactly is sanded paper?" It's sandpaper on a hardboard. It's the same thing you would use to sand something with, except this is supposed to be acid free, but it's on a harder surface. But like what sandpaper is, it's just like a fine sandpaper. Veek said, "Is Derwent Graphitint different from Faber-Castell Watercolor Aquarelle?" Yeah, the Graphitint are, well, they work the same, but they're pigmented or tinted graphite, tinted water-soluble graphite. So these ones are metallics. They're very similar. This one is, yeah, these are the Derwent metallics. So it looks a little bit different. But I mean, they have a very similar, okay, no, not that similar. That's super bright purple. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, that blends out nicely. I'm going to need to play with these. They must have come in a Smart Art box or something. Didn't even notice that they were over there until tonight. I don't normally sit here. But they're more like a muted color. If you look up, what was that? There was a hippo video I did recently. You can look at and see what colors are available there and how that comes out. Pauline said, "Thank you for all the advice and chat tonight. My NyQuil is kicking in and I need to sleep. Have a good night." Good night. Enjoy your NyQuil. That sounds really good right now to me as my sinuses start caving in my face. What time is it? 9:41? I'm not going to get a very good drawing of my octopus in a plant, but, let's go for it. Oops, that one has yellow on it. Yeah, it's getting harder and harder for me to breathe right now. This has turned into a nightly thing, which is I've never had allergies do this to me before. This has been a first, and it's really sucked. Like, my whole face is like, stops working. I drew it smaller so I could draw more of the leaves on this guy. We'll have the octopus looking over here. looks more like a bean than an octopus. I don't have a reference photo, so I'm just kind of like, eh. They change shape so much anyway that it's not a huge deal, even if he doesn't look perfect. Well, nothing's perfect on what I'm working on tonight. This type of sketch I always love doing, like just random. And sometimes when you do sketches like this will lead to an idea for a big, like, serious painting. That's what I love about sketchbooks, and I wish I spent more time drawing in them, because you can come up with some really cool ideas that you might not have otherwise even considered had you not just been randomly doodling in a sketchbook. Why use watercolor pencils instead of regular watercolor? Because I don't have regular watercolor. I think the watercolor pencils can be a little bit easier to handle, the way that you lay them down and then blend out. I think regular watercolor can be faster, but I think watercolor pencils can be a little bit easier to manipulate, because the way you're applying with a pencil, and for a lot of people, a pencil is more comfortable for them to work with than a paintbrush. Let's see. I read that the graphite tint fades super badly even when not in direct sunlight. Have you heard that experience? Yeah, and it's all from the same person or the same handful of people. That one is very... I don't know if I trust it. So here's the thing. The graphite tint, actually, I believe those ones are fairly light fast, but I've heard the same thing with some of the Inktense and colors that were light fast. They were claiming, oh, they faded so bad and they weren't exposed to light. Then that's not a light fast issue. If they're fading without being exposed to light, that's like, I don't think you, the people who are making that claim, it's like, I don't think light fast means what you think it means. Light fast is how long it can be exposed to light before it fades. So if there's no light involved, then this is not an issue of light fast. So then I question, was it left in the trunk of your hot car? Did you use acid-free paper? Were you doing what I'm doing, rubbing your hand, which means the acid of your hands is all over the artwork? That's going to make it fade. That's no longer archival. Were you using tap water? I'm using tap water right now. We don't know what's in the tap water. I mean, I guess you could contact the city, but there is a lot of crap in that tap water that is going to behave weirdly. You want to, ideally, if you're trying to make your work last longer, you want to use distilled water. Like, the people are complaining and they're not giving enough information, because if it's not exposed to light, then this is not a light fast issue. What I can tell you is I've used graphite tint on 2 projects and they look exactly the same today as they did the day that I painted both of them. There's no difference. So, but here, the elements I can add into mine, I'm using archival paper. I did use tap water, but my tap water may be different than their tap water. So that isn't a guarantee that that wasn't the problem there. I generally have paper under my hand. I don't remember on those if I did. I usually put glassine under my hand to protect the oils of my skin of getting on it. I don't know if they had dirty hands. Heck, they could have had oil all over their hands. Maybe they don't shower. I don't know. You know, there's so many elements that could add into that, but the light fast wasn't the issue there. So, I mean, I let people know when I did the video, yeah, people questioned it because it did fade, but when you throw in, but it wasn't exposed to light, okay, then there's another factor we're not considering. What is that other factor? Now, my pieces are only a few years old. People are saying they faded within weeks. Okay, then I don't think it's the supplies, because I didn't experience that, and it's all the same thing. So I'm kind of calling BS on their claims. I'm not saying it didn't fade. I'm saying it didn't fade because of the graphite tint. So I just doubt it. I mean, I expected mine to fade given because I read where a couple of people had written that, and mine didn't. So, which surprised me. I mean, I'm not going to sell it because I'm not sure I don't know what caused theirs to fade. It makes me not comfortable to sell them until we, you know, I want to make sure that they're going to hold up, which mine 100% have. Even my Inktense have never faded. I've not done the test. I want to put it in the window and see what level they really faded when light, but my Inktense have never faded either. They all look the same. I should be back that up though. To be fair, I've only had one exposed to light all this time. All the rest of mine are not exposed to light, but nothing. My graphite tint, my Inktense. Now my graphite tint have not been exposed to light. They've been in a portfolio, but they didn't fade. And that this person's saying his wasn't exposed to light and faded, then it's something else. And you don't know what that is. I mean, we see this a lot with the fish thing, where people are like, this salt water, because it got my attention because it's a salt water that I've recently been using. I previously was getting my water from a location that used Tropic Mirror Pro. I recently switched somewhere that uses Fritz salt. And there were people who were like, oh, the Fritz salt's so bad. The Fritz salt's so bad. My coral looks amazing right now. My mushrooms are thrilled with whatever. The thing is, I can't say it's the salt. It could just be the age of my tanks getting older, and so they get happier. You know, you've got so many other factors that you can't just say it's the salt water. And the funny thing is, with the saltwater story, how many people were making that claim, and it turned out they were using tap water and not RODI like you would typically. You know, there were other elements that they weren't throwing in there. They're just saying, "Oh, I used the salt water and my tank went downhill." You started using tap water too. Why are you assuming it was the salt that was the problem when the tap water was your problem? So, you know, we get that a lot with art too. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to sell graphite because I don't know that they're going to hold, you know, how long are they going to remain light fast beam, that there are claims out there. That is a concern. I will sell prints, no problem. But those are things that you want to keep in mind when people make these claims online. And especially in this case, how many other factors were involved? If it was not exposed to light, then it was not a light fast issue. What then caused it? Were you using crap paper? Did you leave it in the heat of the car? I don't know if that would affect it. It may not. I don't know. Were your hands all over? You know, there's so many different. What was it? What kind of water did you use? Had you previously used your paintbrush with chemicals? We don't know. We don't know all of those other elements. But like I said, what I can tell you is mine, which have not been exposed to light, just like this person's work, they have not faded one bit. They look the same today as they did day one. So there's my rant. Let's see. Honey said that, honey, I said you should inoculate you from allergies if you were in the Northeast. You know, I used to eat, or I drank a lot of honey in my tea. I went through so much of it, but it was the local raw honey, and it only works for me for spring allergies. Whatever the allergies are in the fall have never helped me. Now, I've never been this bad, but they never help me in the fall, which is, I guess the bees don't like whatever I'm allergic to in the fall. Right now the honey from you is just super tasty and making me happy. Melody Ross said, yeah, as long as it's local honey, it's supposed to help with allergies. Yeah, in the spring, it made a noticeable difference. When I first moved to Texas, I was having a really hard time in the spring, and it made a huge difference for me, but not in the fall, unfortunately. Normally I go through some seasons, I'll have allergies in the fall, nothing like what I'm doing this year. This is by far, in like my entire life, I've never had where I'm not like sneezing, I'm not congested. It's just like swelling in my nose, I guess. I forget what it's called. It starts with an R. And it's annoying. So my nose is like, I don't work anymore. You can't breathe through me. Casey said, when new to drawing or painting, what are some plants, animals, or objects that you either start with or that you would recommend to paint? I more often than not, paint what you're interested in. That is more important than anything. If you're not interested in roses, then roses would not be the best thing for you. You're not going to learn as much because you're not having fun. It's not something you care, that you're interested in. But normally, if you like roses are one of the things that I usually will have people start with, whether it be oil painting, graphite, whatever, because it's got so much, the shading, detail, all of these different things that you can apply to portraits or anything else. But it also isn't super important that everything be perfect. Like if you are missing a petal altogether, no one's really going to notice. It still looks like a rose. If you forget, you're missing a nose on somebody, everyone's going to know. Or if something's a little too far to the left on a portrait, everyone's going to know. Whereas on a rose, you can be fairly inaccurate and still make a beautiful rose, which is very encouraging, I think, for somebody who's very new to any medium. So roses are usually what I would recommend someone to start with, unless you're not interested in roses. If that's something you're like, I think that's the most boring thing in the world, pick something that you're more interested in. You will learn better. But roses are a good one to start with. Gail said, what are the beautiful white grabby hands plants in your tank called? I don't have them anymore. They nuked my tank. They are pulsing zinnia, and they released, I had an incident the tank was about 6 weeks old, I think. And 6 weeks out of cycling, and it had the refractometer that I was using was inaccurate, and I didn't know that. And everyone's like, oh, they're the most accurate. They can't be wrong. Yeah, no, they can when you buy them from Amazon. I've got to stop buying stuff from Amazon. There's some of that stuff. But I used like a cheap normal hydrometer, whatever thing. And yeah, what happened was I thought that my salinity was way higher than it was. So I had diluted it with RODI. And then when I did my water change and dumped all that diluted water, I dropped the salinity too fast. It angered the pulsing zinnia, and it started releasing a toxin, and it clouded up the tank. And that angered the Ricordea mushroom, and it started releasing a toxin. So I ended up with this chemical warfare thing going on between them. The Ricordea had slimed up, and everybody was pissing off everybody else. And it crashed the tank. It killed the 2 shrimp I had. I only had shrimp and crabs. The crabs were all fine. It killed the shrimp. It killed one of the Recordias, it killed. I won't do pulsing xenia again. Like, I won't do any xenia again. I now am going with stuff that is a little bit less likely. And in a bigger tank, it wouldn't have been a problem. Mine is such a small tank. That's one of the reasons you'll hear people say you don't want to go with a small saltwater tank. It's harder to keep the water chemistry going or balanced. Absolutely true. But the bigger thing is, like, the smallest little thing goes off and it's a huge deal in something that small. And that's what happened to me. So I replaced the xenia. Now I have green star polyps, which are super, super hardy. They look like grass. It is a coral. It's not grass. Beautiful. I love them. And I have them growing over my arch now. So pulsing xenia is what I used to have with the grabby hands, but I will not do those again. Not in a tank this size. That's for sure. Let's see. Nick said, most honey harvested everywhere is from spring and early summer, nectar, pollen gatherings, which makes sense on why that helps with those allergies and not the fall. The autumn honey is usually left to the bees to overwinter on. That makes sense. I did not know that. Melody said, could it be some sort of indoor allergy or mold? I have a mold allergy and it's literally everywhere, especially when you live at where I live because it's super humid. So I actually do have an allergy to mold. I was exposed to black mold. That the art party place I told you I was teaching at, they ended up with a massive black mold problem. Like, you could see it coming from through the floorboards in the bathroom. There was a water leak or like it rained heavy, leaked in the winter. They left it and it was winter, so it didn't dry out right away. Usually in the summer, it'll dry really quickly if a roof leaks or something, but it was in the winter, so it just stayed wet and it molded and you could see it coming up from the floorboards. It was nasty, and the smell, everything. I walked in there and my head just wanted to explode. I ended up with a fungal heart infection that I thought I was going to die from. That was terrible. That's when I quit. It was, I want to say 2012. That was really bad. But ever since, when I'm exposed to mold, I get headaches right away. Like, I cannot be around mold at all anymore without like instant headache. So I'm prone to headaches anyway. But yeah, since that was, and I was exposed to it for months. I worked there. That happened in winter. I worked there, I'd say about 14 more months where I was just taking things to help control the symptoms, and until I got super, super sick and couldn't fight it off anymore. Yeah, I definitely have an issue with mold, but no, I don't think that's what's going on here, because whenever I go outside, it gets worse. It's worse in the night, and it's worse when I go outside, like way worse if I go outside. Whereas with mold, when I removed myself from that environment, the symptoms lessened quite a bit, and I'm having the opposite. So, and we've had the pollen count in this area has been horrible, like super, super high. We get warnings every day. It's so bad. So yeah. Robert said, mix the raw honey with key lime and aloe vera plant. The relief is almost instantly. What is key lime? I don't have key lime, but I'm writing that down because how do you do that? Like, what are the amounts and aloe? I have aloe. Are you just making it into like a tea, or what are you doing with that? Hi, Solar Sun. Where were we? Oops, scrolled too far. According to the different, accounting for different elements is a great thing to keep in mind. Now I can add Graphitint back to the art supplies I want to try, which may or may not be a good thing. If you get the Graphitint, one of the things I really recommend you get, they're called the extra, extra large blocks. Hold on, let me grab them. They are so good together. Is it these? Yes. If you get Graphitint, I cannot recommend these enough. These are the extra large graphite. I just use them like a watercolor block. So, oops, wrong end of the brush again. I just paint them on like that. Apparently, I'm not going to finish my octopus drawing. We're almost done, but maybe another night. But anyway, this will make it. You can paint that on and then use the pencil on top of this when it dries, and the colors are pretty much the same. These are essentially like what Inktense are to Inktense pencil, Inktense blocks and Inktense pencils, and used in combination. I did use this on the hippo. Oh my gosh, it made it so much more fun. Like, I wouldn't want to use graphite or Graphitint without it. And it's weird. I don't know why they labeled it extra large graphite. I had no idea that this was the same as the Graphitint until I talked to Derwent. I'm like, you really need to make Graphitint in blocks. I'd love that. And they go, we do. What are you talking about? Yeah. They do. They just didn't label it as that for some reason. But these are amazing. They're not super bright. You don't get a lot of colors, so your work is going to be fairly muted. But they're really, really neat to play with. There's gray or grayish black. I think this one is black, like darker black. And you see the blue, and oops, that's got black mixed in with it. And then we've got green. But those are really, really, these are a must-have for me when I work with Graphite. I should probably let that dry out before I put the metal back on it. Robert said, mix the oh, I got that one. Got that one. I sent you a picture on Instagram of an orchid. It looks way cool. Great. I like orchids. I grow orchids. I'm a huge fan of them. Imagination Art said, I have difficulty with objects like glass and objects like bulbs in colored pencil. Could you do a video on that in colored pencil? So like the transparency? Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I don't think I have any videos on that with colored pencil, so I like it. Hayden said, is there a way for me to get better at art without reference photos? Not really. Not if you want it to look realistic. I mean, a live model. There you go. You use live models instead. That is how you get better. You want something to look at. If your goal is realism, you need something to look at. If you are not looking at anything, you get cartoon crap like what I'm doing tonight. But I mean, if your goal is realism, yeah, you need something. It can be a live model, it can be your dog, it can be your cat. You need something to look at though. If realism is your goal, should throw that in there. Yeah, Gail said, oh no, the poor wee shrimp. They were so cute. I know, I replaced them and I'm pretending they're the same shrimp because that was really sad. I was like devastated. I was so depressed, so upset to watch that because I had to watch them. You know, I did everything I could to try to save it. It was a whole thing. But yeah, that was really sad. So I have 2 new shrimp. They look exactly the same. I mean, they're cleaner shrimp. They look exactly the same. And they've been very, very healthy since. I've had them quite a while. They were tiny when I got them. They're big now. They produce eggs constantly. They are not really male or female, but they fertilize each other. They're more male, but they still carry eggs and fertilize each other. You need to have 2, and they make free fish food basically every week. One releases a batch of larvae, and the fish think it's candy. So yes, I do have cute shrimp still. I'm pretending they're the same ones, so I'm not depressed. Ursi said, Darjeeling black tea can help at nighttime with allergies. I will look that up too. I mean, I like tea, so. How did you spell that? D-A-R. I'm willing, well, okay, I'm looking for an excuse to buy tea because I really like tea, but I am willing to seriously try everything. It so sucks. Carol Ann said, have you used Liquitex acrylic gouache? Saw another art YouTuber try them out. I have not. I've used acrylic gouache before, actually stuff that came in the Smart Art box, but I mean, it was okay. It wasn't something I'd run out and buy because I like my regular acrylics better, but it was okay. Okay, I think okay, 10 o'clock. We are done for the night. So just to wrap up the Smart Art box thing, if you're interested in signing up to get your own box of full-size art supplies, link is in the description. This video was sponsored by Smart Art Box. Well, they provided me with the box anyway. Would I buy these pens? I mean, if you like markers, they seem fun. I do like the way that they blended. There are other mediums that I enjoy more, but then you've got to keep in mind, I've never been a huge fan of markers. The only markers I really liked are the Winsor & Newton pigment markers. And I also did like, they came in one of the Smart Art boxes, their oil, crap, what were they called? Peebo, something, I don't know. They were the oil-based markers, and those you could blend out with odorless mineral spirits. Loved those. But these are cool with the blending, and if you actually took the time to like do a serious project, I definitely think you could achieve realism with them. I mean, you get that nice watercolor look, but I am definitely, like I said, I'm not a huge marker person, so you can only take my opinion on that so far, because some people absolutely love markers, and if you do, I think you would like these. Let's see. Robert said key lime is the small green lemon. So just a normal lime? Like, is there a difference between a lime and a key lime? I sound stupid, but I don't cook at all, so this is all new to me. Makes it very sour. Take 2 ounces of raw honey, squeeze 2 limes, 1 aloe leaf, and mix until leaf. I am going to try that. Next time I'm at the grocery store, well, my husband's at the grocery store, lime will be happening. Starving Artist Collective said, shrimp are hermaphrodites, both sexes in one. Yes. But at the same time, you have to have 2 of them because they can't fertilize themselves. So weird. The ocean is so bizarre. Let's see. Twinings makes a great Darjeeling tea. Twinings? I don't know if we've got that here, but I'm going to write that down too. Okay. Thank you for the suggestions for sure. Seriously. anything that will make my nose open back up. They have this stuff that you can squirt in your nose, which I think is disgusting, but like it kind of weirded me out at first, but that's the only way I can sleep is to use that, but you're not supposed to use that very often. So I won't use it during the day at all. I can breathe through my mouth during the day, but when I sleep, I can't get my mouth to stay open. So I end up waking up feeling like I'm suffocating because I'm not getting air. Yeah, it's annoying. So yeah, I need to find something that'll fix this. That's for sure. But anyway, thank you guys again. No live stream next week because I'm getting ready for Aquashella. I'll be back the following week. And make sure to check out our moderators' channels. Joseph and Nick both have channels here on YouTube. Links are in the description. They're both art channels. Join us over on MeWe because it's way better than Facebook, and I like it so much more. Just change your settings to show the newest first if you like me. You are like me and want that order. Anyway, thank you guys, and I will see you in 2 weeks. I may actually, if you're following me on Instagram, I may end up live streaming. Actually, I can almost guarantee, as long as the connection is good, I'm probably going to end up live streaming a bit from Aquashella. So I may walk around and show you guys what all is there then. So make sure you're following me there. I'm not sure how my phone would live stream to YouTube. I may try it. Who knows? Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.